African experience.
My name's Jung Gwon-jong. I'm the boss of this entire hotel. My duties include heavy lifting, spreading happiness, and driving fancy cars. I'm responsible for the area by the hotel entrance. And I officially moved into the sunroom. You think you can cut my share of the rent?
Say what? You're a maniac.
Most of the time, our lives are lackluster. When you add all the brilliant moments, or what we call miracles. Welcome.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should sit back and go.
Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. In today's global economy, information is everywhere, but insight is rare.
Because of the high rate of fuel, the cost of commodities, cost of everything in this country is high.
Nigerians cannot be made to suffer every time.
So, where do you turn for clarity? The right questions.
What are some of the inhibitions that are not making trade work for all?
The real answers.
Stimulus package must take a different shape beyond what we have seen in sharing of rice, sharing of money.
Nancy brings it to you on Moneyline with Nancy. Clear, well-researched conversations focused on what truly impacts you.
Is it that we don't know the number of MSMEs we have in the country, or we don't know?
Hello, welcome to Kakaaki, the African voice on Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Kunle Adewale, and it's great to be with you again this Wednesday morning, the 5th day of August 2026. It's great to be alive, isn't it? Anyway, let's tell you what we have for you on the program this morning. The global community is in the middle of celebrating the World Breastfeeding Week 2026. The 7-day observation holds globally from August 1 to August 7 this year. Now, coordinated by the World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action, WABA, in partnership with the WHO and UNICEF. The annual campaign emphasizes the critical role breastfeeding plays in child survival, global nutrition, and equity. The official theme for this year's celebration is breastfeeding for a sustainable start in life, strengthen what works. And the primary focus is on tracking progress, evaluating impact on poverty reduction and food security, as well as scaling up proven strategies that enhance exclusive breastfeeding rates globally. Breastfeeding in Nigeria remains an almost universal practice. Yet, optimal patterns like early initiation and exclusive breastfeeding face significant cultural and socio-economic bottlenecks. While over 95% of Nigerian mothers breastfeed their children at some point, available statistics show that only 36% of newborns are breastfed within the first hour of birth. Furthermore, the exclusive breastfeeding rate for infants under 6 months hovers around at a stagnant 29% to 36%, leaving millions of infants vulnerable to chronic malnutrition and stunting. Joining us on Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Wednesday to examine the relevance of the World Breastfeeding Week and the statistics coming out of Nigeria is Dr. Chukwunonso Epundu, a consultant pediatrician and pediatric nephrologist with the Zenith Medical and Kidney Center, Abuja. Now she, who feels it knows it, and that's why Joy Onyembi Chinonso, a nursing mother, will also join us to shed more light on this issue. Now, concerns and fears continue to grow as tensions and political violence continue in Osun State ahead of the upcoming governorship election, scheduled for August 15, 2026. The state's political climate has worsened due to clashes between the ruling Accord Party and the opposition All Progressive Congress, APC, following deep legal and administrative disputes over local governance. In the lead-up to the August 15 poll, reports emerged of targeted shootings and violent thuggery in parts of the state capital, Osogbo, and Owode-Ede. Official estimates show that between 20 and 30 people have been killed in politically motivated clashes across the state over recent months. Over 2,000 polling units have been flagged as potential violence flashpoints. Governor Ademola Adeleke's camp alleged that 5 members of the Accord Party were killed and 15 injured by suspected political thugs. Conversely, the APC governorship candidate, Bola Oyebamiji, claimed that over 40 APC members and supporters have been victims of politically motivated attacks since 2022, including the recent killing of 4 members in Ilesha. To combat the pre-poll violence, the police has deployed additional tactical squads and restructured its leadership in Osun State. Last weekend, Commissioner of Police Samuel Erale was deployed to oversee election security. And this followed persistent complaints from the state government accusing the former commissioner, Ibrahim Gotan, of political bias. Police operatives raided the Osogbo residence of the secretary to the state government, SSG Teslim Igbalaye, arresting him alongside 5 others. Authorities stated that they recovered 4.8 million naira in cash, voter registers, PVCs, and electronic equipment, launching an investigation into alleged electoral offenses and vote buying. Other political candidates, including Accord Party figures, have also been detained. Multiple suspects have been declared wanted, and individuals found possessing illegal foreign firearms, such as transportation management officials, have been rearrested following active gunfights with law enforcement. Governor Ademola Adeleke's campaign organization has petitioned the National Human Rights Commission. They labeled the recent wave of raids and arrests a Gestapo-style political crackdown orchestrated by the All Progressives Congress, APC, to intimidate state officials and suppress opposition ahead of the polls. All this happening amid peace accords and summits aimed at dousing pre-election tension. So there's a delicate situation brewing in Osun State with just 10 days to the election. What's the latest on the political front? What are the security agencies, especially the police, doing to keep the troublemakers at bay? Of what use have all the accords and other reports to maintain peace been? Well, joining us to answer these and other questions is the Public Relations Officer of the Osun State Police Command, Abiodun Ojelabi. We'll also be talking to Dr. Gbenga Adesunloro, Development Consultant and Mobilizer at the Kuka Center, one of the organizations striving to maintain peace in the build-up to the election. So that's the outlook for this Wednesday. But remember that you can be part of the program too by sending your views and comments to all our social media handles on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. At Africa Independent TV, that's where you'll find us. That will help you to stay up to date with the latest news from around the globe. For now, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the Kakaaki World News from our news desk. Thank you for staying with us. This is the World News on Kakaaki, the African Voice. United States President Donald Trump says negotiations with Iran were ongoing despite Tehran's denials. The American leader has said the Islamic Republic was facing a last chance before decapitation. Trump told reporters at the White House that he agreed to continue to pursue talks with Iran at the request of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and other countries.
Tensions between Washington and Tehran remain high, as both sides offer conflicting accounts of behind-the-scenes diplomacy. Iran's foreign ministry has denied that negotiations with the United States are underway. But President Donald Trump insists direct talks are taking place, saying, "We are talking right now." He described the negotiations as Iran's last chance to reach an agreement before what he called a decapitation. According to Trump, discussions are centered on reopening the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz and securing Iran's denuclearization. He claimed the waterway could reopen as soon as tomorrow, while acknowledging that a nuclear agreement could take longer. Iran, meanwhile, says its negotiations are with Oman, focusing solely on securing safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqi rejected claims of direct talks with Washington. The Strait of Hormuz remains the central flashpoint in the conflict since the collapse of a ceasefire. Iran has resumed its blockade of the critical shipping lane, obstructing commercial vessels and reportedly firing in ships attempting to pass, regardless of Iran's public statement. He also highlighted the United States counter-blockade of Iranian ports, declaring that no goods would enter or leave Iran unless a deal, or what he called total surrender, is achieved.
The war between Russia and Ukraine has been, Russia and Ukraine have been trading blame as a drone hit a busy beach in southern Russia, killing 7 people, including 3 children, and a counterattack led to the death of 4 in southern Ukraine.
The governor of the Krasnodar region said the total number of injured reached 40, with 17 people taken to hospital. He accused Ukraine of a deliberate strike on civilians. Ukraine has not commented. Both sides deny targeting civilians deliberately. It is unclear what the drone was targeting. Some Ukrainian Telegram channels have claimed it crashed onto the beach as a result of electronic warfare, which jammed the drone signal. Several eyewitnesses were quoted by Russian media as saying gunfire preceded the explosion, indicating that air defense may have tried to shoot the drone down. St. Petersburg Regional Governor Alexander Drozdenko said early on Tuesday, a warehouse facility was hit by drones near Russia's second biggest city. Russia, meanwhile, has launched attacks on residential areas and cities from the start of its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, killing and injuring thousands of civilians. On Saturday, 9 people were killed and dozens injured in Russian ballistic missile strikes on Kyiv, according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The city's mayor said a residential building in a district was partially destroyed, trapping people inside. Last week, a strike on a building in Ukraine's Kryvyi Rih area killed a family of 10. In recent weeks, Ukrainian strikes have in particular targeted warehouses belonging to white bearers, a large online retailer dubbed the Russian Amazon. The largest strike hit a warehouse in the Vladimir region, east of Moscow, overnight into Monday.
The leader of the Iranian-linked group, Hezbollah, has said that he had no objection to meeting with Syria's leadership, the first time he has expressed such a stance after his group was ousted in 2024. Qasim said in a televised address emphasizing the importance and necessity of positive, fraternal, cooperative relations.
Hezbollah for years fought in support of longtime Syrian ruler Bashar al-Assad in the country's civil war, and Syria served as a key supply route to Lebanon from Iran before the new authorities seized power in December 2024. In a significant political development, Hezbollah's deputy leader, Naim Qassem, has publicly declared that his group has no objection to meeting with Syria's new authorities. This marks the first time Hezbollah has openly expressed willingness to engage with Damascus since the ouster of longtime ruler Bashar al-Assad in December 2024. The statement highlights a potential shift in regional alliances and signals Hezbollah's intent to adapt to the new political realities in Syria. Speaking in a televised address, Naim Qassem emphasized the importance and necessity of positive, fraternal, cooperative relations with Syria's current leadership. His remarks suggest Hezbollah is seeking to re-establish ties and secure its logistical lifelines, while also maintaining influence in the evolving Syrian political landscape. This overture could reshape dynamics across the region. Iran's position will be pivotal. Lebanon's internal politics may feel the ripple effects, and Syria's new rulers must decide whether to embrace or distance themselves from Hezbollah's outreach.
Wildfires in the south of France have revealed a cache of 400 historic shells and munitions in a village. According to the local fire commander, during the blasts, the fires were initially thought to be exploding gas cylinders and may have been World War II explosives detonated by the heat. Operations have now seen most residents return to their homes. However, the mayor said certain areas are still off limits. More than 180 houses in the area were destroyed by the wildfire. The historic weapons were both German and French and included mortar and anti-tank shells, French media reported. Their discovery comes after a forest fire ravaged the Gironde area, which has now been brought under control after burning for about 10 days. South Korea's Interior Ministry says summer heat has killed 16 people as the nation swelters in a wave of searing weather. Between May 15 and August 2, over 2,000 people have suffered heat-related illnesses. South Korea's heat record has been broken 3 times over the past week, with the latest all-time high set at 42.5 degrees Celsius in the city of Yangsan on Sunday. The weather agency said in a statement on Tuesday, extreme life-threatening heat is forecast. The highest level temperatures forecast are expected to soar to close to 40 degrees Celsius. In Panama, a clash between progress and preservation has ignited a wave of resistance. The government's ambitious plan to build a massive reservoir to secure water for the Panama Canal, a lifeline of global trade, has met fierce opposition from communities, activists, and the Catholic Church. What was intended as a solution to drought and water scarcity has instead sparked outrage, legal battles, and emotional appeals to protect ancestral lands and cemeteries. The streets of Panama City echoed with chants and banners as protesters marched towards the Supreme Court, demanding justice. At the heart of their struggle lies the Rio Indio Basin, where the proposed reservoir would flood thousands of hectares of farmland, uproot families, and submerge 8 cemeteries, places where generations of Panamanians have laid their loved ones to rest. Legal petitions have already reached the Supreme Court, while appeals to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights seek international protection. The government insists on compensation and dialogue, yet distrust runs deep among communities who fear promises will not match reality. Now let's go to some global business news. Oil prices slumped and stocks mostly rose on Monday after U.S. President Donald Trump insisted negotiations with Iran were ongoing despite Tehran's denials. Crude futures slid more than 4% as markets brushed aside Iran's denials, while Trump described the two sides as talking and Iran facing a last chance before decapitation.
The pullback in oil prices translated into a buoyant session in Wall Street, with all 3 major U.S. indices in positive territory the entire day. The Dow rose 1.3% to an all-time high, while the other 2 major indices were also firmly higher. Most large U.S. tech companies advanced, with Amazon reaching a $3 trillion valuation for the first time. While tech stocks were still under pressure in Asia and concerns of overinvestment, European bourses cheered the pullback in oil prices. The yen, meanwhile, gained against the dollar after U.S. and Japanese authorities confirmed Monday that they had bought Japan's currency on the open markets after months of weakness. The yen was recently near its weakest point against the dollar level since 1986, hit by higher U.S. interest rate, rising oil prices, and capital outflows from Japan. On Monday afternoon, the dollar was trading at about 157 yen compared to about 163 yen last week. The dollar was mixed against other major currencies. Beyond the geopolitical risk, attention is also on the prospect for the U.S. economy after the Federal Reserve held interest rates steady last week despite calls from some of its policymakers to raise rates to fight inflation. Despite falling on Monday, oil prices remain well above levels seen before the United States and Israel attacked Iran, sparking a war that has sharply curtailed Gulf export of oil and gas and other key products. Iran, for its part, said it is not currently negotiating with the United States.
Women wings of political parties in Nigeria from the southeast region have frowned at names of presidential candidates for the 2027 elections, recently released by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, saying the list represents a low percentage of women contending for the top position. Speaking at a media briefing in Abuja, the former Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy, urged political parties to review policies surrounding women inclusion in their constitutions. They vowed to intensify campaigns for women inclusion at the grassroots and other areas to increase the low percentage of women in decision-making ahead of 2027 and other coming elections.
No, I don't think anyone who genuinely believes in inclusive leadership can be satisfied with seeing only 3 women on the presidential ballot. We would all like to see many more women. However, change does not just happen only on election day. It begins long before then. It starts with investing in women, mentoring women, supporting women to contest elections, and removing the barriers. And we have a lot of systemic barriers in Nigeria that have kept many capable women out of politics.
10% of women own properties in Nigeria. Such things, without money, where can you head to? So, from what I'm looking at, women are coming up gradually to start earning more money. And we're encouraging women, like the rally we're going for is still issue of empowerment. And remember, as a former Minister of Women Affairs, when I was there, I was basically focusing on empowering women. So it's a gradual thing. We're working towards it seriously.
Call to action to our women. Come out in your numbers. Come with your association and cooperatives and communities. This is your day. So our party leaders, stand with us from the ward to local government, to state assembly, to the National Assembly, to the governors, to our dear presidents.
They're going to face this election with capacity. We are not just going to tell stories. We're going to quality of the ministers from the southeast. Former governor of Ebonyi State, the Minister for Works. There's no Nigeria today that will not acknowledge him as one of the finest, as one of the best we have in terms of what is given to Nigeria. Then to a Minister for Women Affairs, to other ministers from Southeast, all the stratas of the election, starting from the ward councillors, to the local government chairman, to the state assembly members, to the National Assembly members, and also to our...
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has approved salary increases ranging from 30% to 80% for personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces. About 250,000 officers and personnel are expected to benefit from the new salary structure, which takes effect from September 1, 2026. According to a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, officers above the rank of colonel, including brigadiers general, major generals, lieutenant generals, and generals, will receive a 30% salary increase. The statement adds that personnel from the rank of colonel down to warrant officer will get a 50% increase, while those from private to staff sergeant will enjoy an 80% increase. The new pay package will raise the annual salary bill for armed forces personnel from 660 billion naira to 924 billion naira. President Tinubu says the approval is part of efforts to support and appreciate the courage and sacrifices of Nigeria's military personnel as they confront terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and other security threats across the country. The president stressed that no nation can achieve greatness without security, adding that his administration will continue to prioritize troop welfare and modernize the armed forces through the provision of weapons and technological tools needed to effectively carry out their duties. President Tinubu urged servicemen and women to see the salary adjustment as a sign of government's appreciation for their service to the nation, expressing confidence that Nigeria will overcome the challenges posed by those threatening the peace and security of the country. Efforts to boost security across the nation's troubled central region are gathering pace. The government of Benue State has pledged full infrastructural and logistical support for the takeoff of the Nigerian Army's newly established 5th Division in the state.
Benue has long been an epicenter of deadly agrarian and security challenges in Nigeria's Middle Belt. High-level talks in Makurdi as the Benue State Governor Hyacinth earlier meets a delegation from the Nigerian Army Headquarters Implementation Committee. The visit marks a critical milestone in expanding Nigeria's military footprint in the region. Governor Alia confirmed the state will provide land, logistics, and full funding to construct and furnish the headquarters for the newly approved 5th Division, along with several auxiliary military units.
To assure this team that Benue State, who plays host to 5 division headquarters, would provide adequate land for all the formations and units.
The visiting military delegation was led by Major General Raymond Otaha alongside the Pioneer General Officer Commanding of the new 5th Division, Major General M.K. Gara.
Operational objectives of this expansion is to enhance troops' presence within critical areas, improve operational response time to emerging and prevailing threats, strengthen security coverage and protection of lives and property.
Different parts of Benue State will see new units being established. The Nigerian Army is a very professional army and highly accountable.
For a region heavily reliant on agriculture, persistent security threats have strained local economies and displaced thousands. Officials hope the deployment of the 5th Division will prove to be a decisive turning point in stabilizing Nigeria's agrarian heartland. Dofan Aga, AIT News, Makudi.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed a suit by the National Democratic Congress, NDC, seeking to nullify provisions of the Electoral Act 2026 relating to the qualification and disqualification of candidates for elective positions. In a judgment delivered on Tuesday, Justice Muhammad Umar ruled that the case was without merit, holding that the disputed sections of the Electoral Act are consistent with the 1999 Constitution and merely complement its provisions. The NDC had instituted the suit against the Attorney General of the Federation, the Clerk of the National Assembly, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The party asked the court to declare sections 138 and 77 subsection 5 of the Electoral Act 2026 unconstitutional, while also seeking a pronouncement that issues concerning a candidate's qualification could still be litigated after an election. Justice Umar, however, upheld the preliminary objections challenging the competence of the action. He held that the suit merely sought the court's interpretation of constitutional and statutory provisions and did not qualify as a pre-election matter simply because INEC's election timetable was attached to the originating processes. The judge also struck out the case against the Clerk of the National Assembly, finding that the plaintiff failed to comply with the mandatory requirement of serving a pre-action notice before filing the suit. On the substantive issues, the court ruled that while the Constitution outlines the qualifications and disqualifications for elective offices, the Electoral Act provides the procedure and time frame for challenging the outcome of party primaries. Justice Umar held that anyone seeking to contest the qualification of a candidate who emerged from a party primary must do so within the pre-election window provided by law. He further found that Section 138 of the Electoral Act does not conflict with the Constitution, but instead reinforces its provision. The court also declined the request to invalidate Section 77, Sub 5, noting that the Court of Appeal had already settled the issue in an earlier judgment. Justice Umar stressed that lower courts are bound by decisions of superior courts under the doctrine of judicial precedent. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says President Bola Tinubu is the only candidate who can win Rivers State in the 2027 general election, urging opposition figures to cancel Rivers from their political calculations if they are not counting votes for the president. Speaking at his monthly media chat in Abuja, Wike said a coalition of members from the PDP, the APC, Labour Party, Action Alliance and other groups have agreed to work together in Rivers State while backing Tinubu's re-election. He also spoke on key national issues, including developments in the FCT, opposition politics, and comments by Cardinal John Onayeko after Catholic bishops met with the president.
The August edition of the FCT Ministers' Media Chat comes on the heels of the FCT Project Commissioning Series. During the session, the minister warned opposition parties to forget about Rivers State ahead of the 2027 elections.
I am telling you, let nobody make mistake. If anybody is counting Rivers, go now and cancel it. The only person that can count Rivers is Aswaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The panel also engaged the minister on issues generating public interest, particularly comments attributed to Cardinal John Onayeko.
But if you don't go to the general, INEC is biased. We are sending a signal to the public. Because people say, for the whole Catholic bishops to say INEC is biased, then something is wrong. And we must be very careful about it. And that's why, no, you can't say they are biased. So what is wrong?
He responded to President Tinubu's remark that all is fair in politics, defending the president and blaming opposition parties for their own challenges, while also taking a swipe at elder statesman Bode George.
If Bode George could produce the video of that visit, where the chief judge was requesting for accommodation, was requesting for vehicles, you don't need to make certain statements that you cannot defend. This is the same man who said, if the president wants to go on exile, up to today he has not gone on exile.
Rivers politics also featured prominently, with the minister arguing that Governor Fubara's choices have cost him a second term.
Those who didn't want you to be governor now became your friends. Obviously, they will destroy you. Thinking that coming closer to you is to fight us. And at the end of the fight, I have not lost anything. What have I lost? Not that point I'm making. What have I lost? No. But you have lost. Because your intention was to go for second term.
The minister maintained that President Tinubu remains the candidate to beat in the 2027 presidential election. Chukwebuka Ubodo, AIT News, Abuja.
The federal government has reached an agreement with the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, on some of the major issues that led to the threat of a nationwide indefinite strike. The association had planned to commence industrial action from August 10 over outstanding salary arrears, promotion issues, welfare concerns, and other unresolved demands. The meeting, convened by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, brought together officials from the Ministries of Health, Labor and Employment, Finance, the Budget Office of the Federation, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, IPPIS, and other relevant agencies. President of NARD, Dr. Mohammed Ismail, said the intervention has produced concrete timelines for resolving the concerns of resident doctors. He said agreements were reached on salary and promotion areas, with relevant government agencies expected to commence implementation within 1 week. The NARD president also said that the government has agreed that house officers should receive their salaries before the 10th day of every month to prevent delays. The meeting also addressed concerns over attacks on healthcare workers. According to the NARD, 31 doctors and more than 20 other health workers have been assaulted in the last 10 months. Dr. Ismail said the Ministry of Health will issue directives to hospitals to improve security and create safer working environments, while the Chief of Staff has committed to supporting legislation that will make assault on health workers an aggravated offense. However, the NARD says it has not officially called off its planned strike. The association says it will present the outcome of the meeting to its National Executive Council, which will decide on the next line of action. The planned strike was scheduled to begin on August 10 if the federal government failed to address the outstanding concerns of resident doctors.
our matters are solved. Solved in the sense that timelines have been agreed upon by various agencies of government. On salary and promotion areas, we're talking about a week. On the call mill issue in Luth, we're talking about a week so that we'll get implementation. We have agreed on a figure, we have agreed on numbers. We have also agreed on house officers so that they don't have to wait for a whole month before they get the previous month's salaries. In fact, he has given a standing order that before the 10th of every month, salaries of house officers must be paid. We also talked about promotion areas. I had mentioned 1 week timeline. The professional allowance table also. I think the government has opened up more today on this matter. We understand that there are still a few things that need to be cleared. There's an amount which is not as high as we thought initially, and hopefully the DG budget is going to give us a timeline where that will be paid.
That's the world news on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Thank you for staying with us, but don't go away, because we have more reports for you on Kakaaki Business.
Household spending in Australia rose 0.8% month-on-month in June 2026, slowing from a marginally revised 1.2% gain in the previous month and marking the weakest pace since February. Still, the latest figure exceeded market expectations of 0.2%. Spending growth eased for food and furnishing, while declines were seen in clothing and footwear, hotel, cafes and restaurants, and miscellaneous goods and services. By contrast, spending accelerated in alcohol and tobacco, health, transport and recreation. Regionally, all states and territories recorded gains. New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia and the Northern Territory and the Australian Capital Territory. On an annual basis, household spending climbed 6.0%, up from 5.5% in May, pointing to the fastest pace in 3 months. South Korea's annual inflation rate slowed to 2.8% in July 2026, marking the softest increase since April and down from 3.2% in the previous month, which was the fastest pace since December 2023. The latest reading was below market expectations of 3.0%, though it remained above the central bank's 2% target. Transport inflation eased as the impact of rises in diesel and gasoline prices started to fade. Food and non-alcoholic beverages inflation also moderated to a 3-month low, as did alcoholic beverages and tobacco. By contrast, inflation accelerated for housing and utilities, clothing and footwear, recreation and culture, and restaurants and hotels. On a monthly basis, consumer prices unexpectedly fell 0.2% compared with market forecasts of a 0.1% rise, marking the first monthly decline since November 2025 due to lower transport, food and housing prices. And in Spain, registered unemployment increased by 19,517 from the previous month to 2.311 million in July 2026, marking the lowest July total ever. Market expectations were pointing to a 20,300 decline. The monthly rise was unusual, reflecting the fact that July has become less affected by seasonal patterns. Between 2010 and 2019, registered unemployment typically declined by an average of 45,467 in July, while since the labor market reform, the average July decrease has narrowed to just 4,981. The increase was driven by higher unemployment in services, construction, and among first-time job seekers, largely due to the ongoing extraordinary regularization process, which is allowing previously undocumented workers already living in Spain to register with public employment services for the first time. Separate Social Security data showed net employment increased by 79,567 in July, bringing total formal employment to 22.29 million. The Central Bank of Armenia kept its benchmark interest rate unchanged at 6.5% during its August 2026 policy meeting, maintaining a cautious stance as inflation remained above target. The deposit rate was held at 5%, while the lending rate remained at 8%, preserving the existing monetary policy corridor. The decision followed June inflation of 5.1% and core inflation of 4.9%, highlighting strong domestic activity driven by construction and services, alongside improving external demand, but highlighted risk from global growth weakness, elevated energy prices and persistent uncertainty. While demand pressures and supply-side factors continue to support inflation. Stabilizing wage growth and expectations, weaker export conditions, and potential disinflation risk remain key considerations. Markets broadly expect the policy rate to stay at 6.5% over the medium term as the bank balances upside inflation risk with downside growth risk and works toward its 3% inflation target. Nigeria's petrol consumption fell by 52 million litres in the first half of 2026 as persistently higher pump prices moderated demand despite increased domestic refining. Data from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority (NMDPRA) showed total consumption at 9.316 billion litres between January and June, compared with 9.36 billion litres in the same period of 2025. Average retail prices surged following subsidy removal and deregulation, ranging 1,284 naira 50 kobo per litre in Lagos to 1,393 naira in Maiduguri in June 2026, compared with 910 naira and 982 naira 50 kobo in late 2025. Daily consumption dropped to as low as 46.3 million litres in May, before recovering slightly to 47.4 million litres in June. Domestic refining became the dominant source of supply, providing 77.9% of petrol in the first half of the year. Local refineries supplied 6.6 billion litres, while imports accounted for 1.87 billion litres. Despite the increased local output, Nigeria's reserves remained below benchmark levels. The NMDPRA reported 20 days of petrol sufficiency in June. Diesel sufficiency stood at 37 days, aviation fuel at 73 days, and LPG at 16 days. Officials warned that supply shocks could still affect stability despite growing refining capacity. The Major Energies Marketer Association of Nigeria noted that geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, including the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, drove global crude prices above $100 per barrel and disrupted shipping routes. Nigeria's regulated markets transmitted the shock directly to consumers, with petrol prices rising 39.5% in the first half of 2026, the sharpest increase across Africa. And that's Kakaaki Business.
Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Kakaaki, the African Voice, this Wednesday morning, and we'll have a few special reports that we'd like to bring to you this morning in the run-up to the top of the hour. And we'll begin from Cross River State, where the government is pushing for a broader community-based approach to security. Stakeholders gathered in Calabar for the Unite Against Terror Security Summit. It is aimed at tackling kidnapping, cultism, drug abuse, cybercrime, human trafficking, and other security threats affecting communities across the state. The summit comes as the state government seeks to strengthen intelligence sharing, public vigilance, and cooperation between residents and security agencies in order to sustain the relative peace recorded in recent months.
Discussions at the summit centered on the need for communities to become active partners in the fight against insecurity. Declaring the summit open on behalf of Governor Basio II, Deputy Governor Peter Ade said the administration inherited serious security challenges but has made security a top priority through initiatives such as Operational Quark and other joint security operations.
Under my administration, security has been treated as a top priority. Cross River State Unite Against Terror is a clear declaration. We say no to kidnapping, no to armed robbery, no to banditry, and no to cultism.
Delivering the keynote address, the director of the Department of State Services in Cross River described insecurity as a major threat to development and social stability.
We must shun the We Day campaign wrapped in blame trading and embrace the we approach.
This vision aligns perfectly with the people-centered leadership of His Excellency, Senator Prince Bassey Ededotu, whose administration continues to prioritize peace, infrastructure, economic growth, youth development, and institutional collaboration as essential pillars of sustainable security.
Representatives of the police, army, the NSCDC, immigration and customs also delivered goodwill messages highlighting ongoing collaboration in intelligence gathering, border security, and community engagement, while traditional rulers, led by His Royal Majesty Oval Solomon Osim, pledged to mobilize their communities against violence and criminalities. In Emesat Ifiok, AIT News, Calabar.
That report simply corroborates the fact that security is everybody's business, and eternal vigilance is what is needed at this point when Nigeria is going through trying times and, of course, facing insecurity from different angles: kidnappings, banditry, terrorism, and all other kinds of security threats. So that's important. Really, really, really important at this point. And so the Cross River State government is heading, I think, in the right direction, pushing for a broader community-based approach, which means that the communities will be involved and people will be given more information, credible information, to the security agencies so that they can help to apprehend anyone who is a threat to the security of the people in the state. So that's a good one there. Well, let's bring you our social intervention segment now. At the top of the hour will be the newspaper review. Stay with us.
And welcome to Get Fit in 60 Seconds with Dolly Phillips. Now, everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go! And time. Super job. Well done. Well done! I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye!
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to Leadership Clinic. Today I'll be speaking on choosing to heal. In 1994, the nation of Rwanda experienced one of the darkest chapters in modern history. Communities were torn apart. Families were divided. Trust was shattered. The pain left behind was almost impossible to measure. Many believed that the wounds will never heal. Yet, in the years that followed, something remarkable began to happen. Instead of allowing the future to be held hostage by the past, Rwanda embarked on a long journey of reconciliation and rebuilding. It was not easy, and it did not happen overnight. Communities learned to talk again. Institutions were rebuilt. Former divisions gradually gave way to a shared commitment to move the nation forward. The process reminded the world of a powerful truth. A nation cannot change its history, but it can choose its future. That lesson is also something we can take as individuals. We can throw our past away and focus on the possibility of the future. The lesson is just as important for leaders today. Every organization, every family, and every community will experience moments of disappointment. Relationships may actually be strained. Trust may be broken. Mistakes will be made. The temptation is to remain trapped by yesterday. But great leaders understand that while we should learn from the past, we must never become prisoners of it. The interesting thing is for us to understand that we have the capacity to face forward all the time. How do you lead people towards healing is my question. But I'll answer it. First, acknowledge the reality of the pain. Genuine healing begins with honesty. Ignoring problem doesn't make them disappear. Second, choose reconciliation over resentment. Reconciliation is not about pretending. It is about deciding that the future is too valuable to be controlled by the past. Third, rebuild trust one step at a time. Trust is rarely restored through one conversation. It is rebuilt through consistent honesty, accountability, and respect. Finally, keep your focus on the future. Great leaders inspire people with a vision of what can be, instead of allowing them to remain consumed by what has been. So when leaders choose healing over hatred, understanding over division, and hope over despair, they create what? Something that is extraordinary. A future where people are no longer defined by yesterday, but united by the possibility of tomorrow. Every Nigerian, every great person who loves this country must understand Nigeria cannot make progress until we learn from this history, that we must forget our past and work together to take this country to where it needs to be. Great people of Nigeria must remember, if a man doesn't have a purpose of waking up, sleeping becomes interesting.
Have you ever wondered why your child or student would consider taking his or her own life? A friend of mine once told me that her neighbor's 14-year-old daughter committed suicide simply because no one was listening or no one took her serious. I want you to know that a number of factors could be involved. Strange as it sounds, even children and teenagers feel the pressures of life with great intensity due to negative thoughts about themselves, mistreatment from others, family conflict, academic failure, or even the death of a loved one. If your child or student talks about suicide, do not yell or scream at the child. Simply ask questions like, what is making you feel the way you feel? Promise the child or student that you will keep it a secret and he or she should open up to you. Do not trade blames, just listen and think it through on the spot for a solution. Find out what the child or student likes and dislikes and engage such a child in that activity. You need to realize that the victims of suicide are not only those who take their own life, but also the loved ones who are left behind. If you discover that your solutions aren't effective, seek the immediate help of a mental health doctor. Being depressed doesn't mean that one is sick or mad. It could be a temporary state that with quick intervention can save his or her life. Learn to care and do not judge. Honestly, that's my 2 kobo.
Information, education, entertainment. More than just a cliche, it's a way of life. It's our way of life on Kakaaki, the African Voice, talking to the people that matter.
The political space in Nigeria is largely not ideologically defined. All the political party is more like a vehicle that conveys you from one point to the other.
Technically speaking, what government is doing is just refinancing. They are borrowing more money to pay the old ones, and it is not the way to go.
On the issues that matter.
The decentralization of the police force is, of course, will go a long way, because the state governors are answering the chief security officers, but when they don't have direct control on the security agencies, I mean, it makes their jobs very, very difficult.
Keeping you up to speed on what you need to know, when you need to know, and how you need to know. That's Kakaaki, the African Voice, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Kakaaki, the African Voice. The more you look, the more you see.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political Platform, now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program inside the parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can...
Okay, it's 7 a.m. Time for the newspaper review on Kakaaki, the African Voice. And of course, my reviewer is in the house already. Mark my words. I said my reviewer. And that's because Simon Rif Musa is here joining me all by himself this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Kunle.
How are you doing?
Good to meet you. Fine.
I understand the Yobosa is away.
Well, he's always traveling, you know.
Part of the job.
I'm official of the Nigerian Guild of Editors.
Yeah. When you're a journalist and you are
travel a lot.
An Editors Guild official, you have to move around a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, wish him a safe trip, and we hope he gets back very, very soon. All right, let's take a look at what the papers have for us for this morning, and we'll begin with the Authority newspaper, which leads with the story. Tinubu approves salary increase for 250,000 soldiers. The writers tell us pay rise ranges from 30% to 80% across ranks. Starts September 1 as military wage bill hits 924 billion naira yearly. That's the top story on the front page of the Authority newspaper. Let's now go to the Daily Newscraft, where you have the same story, headlined differently though. Fight against terrorism. Tinubu boosts military morale with salary increase. Northern senators hail action. Bomb attacks decline. 5 ISWAP explosive experts die assembling bombs. That story is there on page 2 if you want details. And at the bottom of the page, you see the story, Rivers political crisis denied Fubara second term. Wiki, that's on page 6 of the paper if you're looking for the details. Let's go now to This Nigeria. It leads with the story too. FG unveils pay rise for 250,000 troops. Lowest ranks get 80% increase. Annual military wage bill rises to 264 billion naira as government seeks to boost morale. And also at the bottom of the page, you see 2027. Amechi can't deliver votes. Coalition no threat to Tinubu, says Wike, hits Bode George. Attack on Onayeka unfair, ADC vice presidential candidate. That at the bottom of the page. The Daily Global leads with the story, Tinubu approves 30% to 80% salary hike for armed forces personnel. That's the top story on the front page of that paper. Let's move on now to the Nigerian Pilot with its trademark red headline. Insecurity, Tinubu approves pay rise for military. announces salary increases of 30 to 80% for 250,000 armed forces personnel. Officers above rank of Brigadier General will receive 30% increase. Colonels down to warrant officers of 50%. That's the top story there. And that thin strip below the picture story, resident doctors to suspend planned strike after agreement with federal government. You'll find details of that on page 6 of the paper. Let's go to the Observer's Times now. Tinubu approves 30% to 80% salary hike for armed forces personnel. That's how the Observer's Times catches the story this morning. And when you move on to the Daily Asset, you'll find that same story. Tinubu approves salary increase for 250,000 armed forces personnel. Pay rise by 80% effective September 1. COAS advocates homegrown defense solutions. Okay, moving on from the Daily Asset now, let's go on to the next paper, which is the New National Star. Fear grips Abuja sporting community over alleged attack threat. That's the top story there. And the writers say MKO Abiola National Stadium shuts down. Business is grounded. Athletes, coaches stranded. Page 2 is where you will find details of that paper. At the bottom of the page, you'll find right underneath the picture story, court dismisses NDC suit challenging Electoral Act provisions. Disclosure News is where we're going next, and its own headline says, insecurity. 48 hours after CWG's feat, FG shuts down MKO Abiola Stadium. Management announces indefinite suspension of sporting religious activities as Shiites threaten takeover of stadium. Tinubu hails Team Nigeria over Commonwealth Games feat. That's the CWG mentioned here. And 2027, renewed rage over Tinubu's certificate. That's just below the picture story there on the front page of the Disclosure News. Now let's go to the Daily Sun. Anglican primate backs on Ayekon. That's the lead story there. Claims politicians exploiting poverty, hunger to recruit youths for election violence. Cardinal spoke out of concern for Nigeria, not malice for Tinubu Catholic laity. That's the story on the front page of that paper. Now to the CWG.ng. Wike, my post-Tinubu plans. That is the top story there on the front page of that paper. And of course, right underneath the masthead, you see that thin headline, but nonetheless quite interesting. Governor under fire after allocating public land to 2,000 aides party supporters. You want to know which governor and which state? You better get a copy of the CWG at gwg.ng, I beg your pardon, for details of that. Al Jazeera Midweek leads with the story, 2027. Nigerians ready to elect women, youth, people with disabilities. That's according to a survey. Structural barriers remain the biggest challenge. That's the writer to the story, and you'll find details of it on page 9 of the paper. Now let's go to the Whistler. Nigeria's foreign reserves climbed to $52.5 billion, highest in 17 years. And it has a rider. CBN's 46 microfinance bank license revocation exposed the need for stronger governance. That's according to Data Pro. And at the bottom of the page, you see the headline, metering, billing fuel, 708,677 electricity complaints in 12 months. Port Harcourt, Ibadan, Kano Discos record highest cases. Let's move on to the Business NG now. Nigeria's $1 trillion economy target under pressure. over required growth rate. Look at the story, reading from front page, and moves to the inside pages of the paper. At the bottom of the page, you also see, just under the picture story this time too, Nigeria's foreign reserves surge to $52.5 billion, highest in 17 years. And on to our last paper for review this morning, the Daily Independent. 300 billion naira rail outlay draws scrutiny over service shortfalls. That story starts from the front page and continues on page 29 of the Daily Independent. All right, that's the last paper that we've got for you this morning on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Time now for us to, of course, come to you, bringing the issues to our reviewer for his view on the stories. Now, let's look at the top story.
Yeah.
The hike in military salaries from 30% to 80%.
To 80%.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's commendable. I think I need to say here that the hike or the increase in salary is not just for the total number of armed forces, but it's for those that are involved in the fight against insecurity. Those are the front lines of fighting these monsters that are determined to question the sovereignty of the Nigerian government. Now, if you look at it critically, beyond the commendation, I think we should try to see that what we say, what we promise is delivered. Because I read somewhere that there was some time in the past where the military salary were increased from some amount to about 100,000. That was said by the Minister of Defense.
40-something-thousand.
From 47,000 to
40. I don't know how much.
No,
40-something-thousand.
48,000 to 100,000. Now, let me tell you here, and I also want the Minister of Defense to look into it. If it's the minimum is 48,000, is it true that they are getting that amount of money? See, it's one thing to say things out and for it to be implemented. And I think that is it. But I'm very sure that the current increase will be implemented because maybe it's just restricted to about 250,000 people, troops, because they are in the front lines and they're fighting a war. They're fighting a battle against forces of insecurity. But beyond that, we've shot the salary bill to about close to 1 trillion every year by that increase. Now, the issue amidst decreasing revenues accruing to government. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. But my fear is, will those that are involved in implementing this, will they implement it? I speak this against the backdrop of what is happening. You discover, I have someone that is serving presently in the Northeast. They were to go for a clearance against Boko Haram. What happened? They were given 5 bullets each. And the 5 bullets, you ask, is it 5 rounds? Or is it just 5 bullets? I was told it's simply 5 bullets.
5 bullets, 5 rounds, they mean the same thing, don't they?
No, they don't mean the same thing. 5 bullets is a piece because in a round you have about 30 or so in a round. But in this, they counted this bullet and gave to them. Now, you go and confront these guys. You shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th.
And you're out of ammo.
You are out of ammo. And you run away. So they shouldn't simply concentrate in improving the salary. What are they doing in making sure what the soldiers at the war front need are being given? I think that is another challenge. Because
so it's not just about the money.
It's not just about the money.
Equipment is also important.
It's about getting them with the equipment they need. And let me tell you the truth. Some of us that know some of these people that are involved, you ask yourself, why are military officers interested in going to the Northeast, in involving themselves in anything that has to do with this multitasking, fighting, banditry, and kidnapping? No, funds have been pumped. And that's why sometimes I disagree with people who say that the government is not providing funds No, funds are being provided. What you need is accountability. How are this money being expended? That's the most important thing. So it's not the issue of money, it's the issue of accounting for what has been given for a particular purpose.
And judicious use.
And the judicious use. Now, beyond that, we see army personnel on our roads. If you go to Kuje, you find them. What are they doing? What are you doing to improve on their living conditions? These are police work, but you now involve them. And that's why, factually, as I was saying the other time, I wrote a piece and I was saying certain things. I said, it's not the expansion of the army that we need. No, it's threatening the internal security mechanism in the country by ensuring that the police, that is the primary duties of ensuring internal security, are well equipped. But you see, this whole vesta of corruption is not just within the police, it's everywhere. And that is why government must do something. Doing something is simply ensuring that officers, armed forces, who have been given so much money to fight insecurity, are made to account for such funds. It's not simply for you to simply announce an increase in salary. Yeah, it's good, it's commendable, and it will go a long way. But we ask ourselves, the equipment these soldiers need, these armed forces need, are they being given? And let me tell you, this increase for 250,000 will force the idea of making posting to the northeast and other places where insecurity exists to be a battle. Because it will now be reserved for some people. There will be infighting because when you get there, there's much increase. Because I'm very happy because 80% of the increase is for private to sergeant. 80%. Because let me tell you, our troops at the front are battling several challenges. And I commend the government for doing that, but I also demand the federal government to ensure that that is implemented to the dot, not simply to say something and that is the end of it.
All right, Simon, let's move on to something else that has to do with security and quickly talk about it. If you look at the front page of the New National Star and Disclosure News, they both talk about that. Let me quote from the Disclosure News. It says, insecurity, 48 hours after CWG's feat, that's the Commonwealth Games, FG shuts down MKO Abiola Stadium. And the writers tell us management announces indefinite suspension of sporting religious activities as Shiites threaten to take over stadium. That is another security story that we have, because that's exactly what we have also on the front page of the New National Star. Now, how do you read this?
Well, it's quite sad. This is not the first time we're hearing Shiites threatening to do one or two things. And if they can do that in Abuja, then it is something very, very serious. And government must not sleep over it. They must ensure that they activate all the necessary efforts they need to ensure that such thing does not happen again. And again, security is not just simply the responsibility of the security forces. No. People, too, will have to provide information. But unfortunately and sadly, we live in a situation where many Nigerians see the security of the nation resides on the shoulders of all the security forces. And that's the issue. And when it comes to also corruption and people not believing the Nigerian project, it's yet another thing. Because as it is now, where money can be gotten or where people feel money is being expended is all on insecurity. You have population of Nigerians that are not employed. Some are very hungry, so they can be recruited to join any bad gang to ensure that they get something additional in their pocket. And of course, those that don't want the Nigerian state are becoming too many, are becoming overwhelming, not because there is politics involved, there is economic activities economic causes also involved. So there is a mixture of so much. So what you can always guide against that is to ensure that you improve on the living conditions of the Nigerian citizen. If you don't do that, you now give a leeway, you now give a pathway for people to go to see how they can do to ensure they get something they can survive on. So insecurity is becoming a means of livelihood. Well, the bigger people are using it to smile to the bank. Those that are below are also using it to make sure they earn a means of livelihood.
So if it is that way, if we are to follow what you just said now, that insecurity has become a business, what do you think is the way out? Because it will seem that, like some people have said, which agrees with what you just postulated now, that it is now like there is an economy around it.
Yeah.
So how do we get out of this quagmire?
You see, the truth of the matter, and people may not agree with me, is you give some timelines, you give some deadlines, you give some targets to the security forces, to people that are leading the security forces. What I'm saying is that the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, should first of all call the NSA, Minister of Defense, and say, hey, this is what I want. If you can't do this, then you're out. But again, you can also understand why the president may not do it now because of politics. Because every effort now has been done to ensure that the objective of securing a second term is now a dream that should not just be put aside. And that is what is happening. And that is what has largely influenced some decision, because changing the security forces now, or the defense chiefs now, will not work well, but it will not augur well for the government. But I suggest, and it is a very sincere suggestion, that timelines should always be given to those people. Give them timelines, give them targets. If at the end of a particular period certain things are not being done, then find a way of shipping them out and bringing some new people. You see, when corruption has gone round and like encrusted the operations of security forces, I'm not saying every part of the security forces. There are some security forces that are doing very well. I'm talking of the DSS that has been in the forefront of providing information and increased collaboration for synergy to fight insurgency.
And sometimes going out to into the field of operations themselves.
I mean, they're doing very, very well. But then, it's not just them for them that can end insecurity. No, they need to collaborate. And so those type of people should be encouraged. They should be encouraged. So synergy is very, very important. And most importantly, people should be made to bring to account for billions and trillions of naira that have been spent.
You've gone back to accountability again, Simon.
Accountability is very, very key.
Yeah, but I want us to focus on the Abuja story now.
Yeah.
Talking about the shutdown of the MKO Abiola Stadium. And I'm one of those who uses the stadium.
Yeah.
I use the stadium once in a while. Sometimes I go there to play volleyball or to watch volleyball competitions. And that means that for people like me, and I dare say hundreds, if not thousands, of people who go to the National Stadium every day, it means that a certain ecosystem has been shut down because of fears of insecurity. So where does that take us?
Well, the truth of the matter is that even the security forces seems to be overwhelmed, especially internal security forces. I'm talking of the police, I'm talking of the secret police also. They need more hands on deck. But beyond that, there used to be these people we call informant, and we normally call them I can't remember. Their job, when they see certain things being done, they go in and tell the police. And before you know it, certain things have been done. Do we have that now? No. But rather, we have some bad elements in the police that go out to even sell information. If those people that are fighting against the security of the country are there, it is these same people that are giving them information for money. So one would normally say, because the idea of the poverty in the country, but to me it's not poverty, it's all about mindset. It's all about when people place premium on money, finances, they can be able to, they are able, or they don't mind betraying their nation. I think when we have love for the country, when we have a stake, a kind of a stake in the growth and development of the Nigerian nation, I think it is that love that will make us to come together and ensure that we avoid certain things that are not good for the country. But as for now, many people, most of the people, all they are interested in is how to survive. And this survival is not just about money. No, it's simply about those people who even have this money, want this money more desperately than the poor. So when you build a system where the rich are not comfortable, where the rich want to have more money, and the poor cannot even rise up to even ensure and fight for their survival, then it becomes a basic problem. So it's not just an issue of security, beaming a searchlight on our security forces. We also look at the citizens. What are they doing? Do they believe in the country? Are they changing their orientation? So those are the things we also have to look into. So definitely, insecurity will stop when both security forces and citizens come together to do what is needful. And what is the needful thing? By supporting the security forces and ensuring that whatever they come across in terms of information that will help the security forces are made available to the security forces. And then the security forces should also purge themselves of elements that are compromising their operations. That is very, very important.
Okay, now look at this paper now.
Yeah.
The Daily Trust. Many fear dead as gunmen attack Sokoto again, and the story is on pages 4 and 5 of the paper. Now, if you also take a look at this issue, it's becoming something of worrisome proportions. And one of the special reports that we looked at before the newspaper review this morning was talking about community-based efforts, by people in Cross River State rallying citizens against insecurity, looking for this community-based approach. And I'm thinking, because that's why I wanted us to talk more about the Abuja National Stadium, the MK Abiola Stadium. Now look at this one. Many fear dead as gunmen attack Sokoto again. The issues of people giving credible information to security agencies to counter insecurity is also a key issue, isn't it?
Yeah, is very key. But I think the basic problem is that we do not have enough people on ground. Nigeria is under police. Nigeria is under armed forces, if there is an expression like that. There are no enough boots on ground. But there is no country in the world that provides security to all of its parts. No. Security flows from the people. And the whole thing is for people to have love of a nation, love of a country, and to work towards defending its sovereignty. Now that we've understood that we cannot provide enough boots on ground, what are we doing to ensure that we get community effort to ensure that certain things are done toward of impending attacks? One, government has really not come out very, very clearly on how we can evolve that. In the past, there was this idea muted by the secret police, the DSS, that we should profile community members, arm them, so that they can provide first line of defense. And that was the best. We shouldn't spend so much money importing aircraft, bombers, and all this, because I've always said, insecurity that we experience in Nigeria cannot be won from the sky. No, it's on the ground. We need to get communities, we need to get them involved. We need to have our communities who know our forests, who know they can tackle every other thing. There was a time in this country, National Hunters Association came up that their members are capable of containing insecurity, because these bad guys are in the forest. So give us the power to do it. But somebody somewhere is thinking that if you give it to them, the money coming, they won't get it again. They say, no, hunters, we don't need them. No, when we now went for forest guards. Before you know, we say state policy. The whole thing has to do with the crave for money. If Nigerians can set aside money and look at how do we bring up this country.
How do you set aside money?
No, what I mean is the craze for money. We have craze for money in this country so in a bad way, and that is what is making Nigeria to be God's creation in the impossibility. Like the late Delegiwa said.
Okay,
when you put money in front, every other thing don't matter.
Let me quickly throw this to you before we go, because we have just a minute left. On the front page of gwg.ng, you have the story, Wike, my post-Tinubu plans, and you have it in graphics there to rebuild the PDP, strengthen structures, win elections nationwide, reclaim power in 2031. That's what the gwg.ng has on its front page this morning.
Well, I've always said I may not like the politics of Wike, but he has proven to be a realistic politician in tune with what is happening on ground. He's telling you he has told you he is supporting Tinubu. Those people who fought against him was trying to destroy the PDP. Where are they today? Most of them are also supporting Tinubu. So at the end of the day, what happens? They have proven themselves, I mean, they've shot themselves in the legs, and it's just they're in a competition of who wants to support the president. He has said that PDP, as far as he's concerned, he's a PDP man. After Tinubu might have gone, after 2027, he wants to rebuild PDP. And taking into consideration what is happening in the APC now, the PDP is bound to come back after 2027.
He wants the PDP to reclaim power in 2031.
Yeah, that is 2031. So after 2027, he has come out to say, hey, I'm supporting Tinubu. And that is one good thing, you can stop him.
Okay.
But after 2031, he wants PDP to come back. Okay. And he works towards that. And the way things are going, I don't see the PDP surviving beyond 2031.
We'll have to wait and see. Yeah. But final thought, just a few seconds to look at this. Nigeria's foreign reserves climbed to $52.5 billion, highest in 17 years. You have that on the front page of the Business NG, the Whistler, and the Daily Independent. How does that hit you?
Well, if you tell me that it has climbed to about over $51 billion US dollars.
52.5 actually.
$52 billion. The question is, what has that got to do with the living condition of the Nigerian masses? I think that's the most important thing. I want to see better living conditions. I want to see things being done in a manner that gives hope. Well, people are even tired of hoping. Most people are tired of hoping. They simply sit down and see what happens, what comes tomorrow.
Okay.
But beyond that, it may be commendable, but we want to feel it in our stomachs.
In your stomachs? What about in your pockets too?
No, when I say stomach, it's about survival. You know, the Catholic bishop, when they said Nigerians are hungry. And the president rightly said there has always been hunger. But again, that doesn't mean they should also look into issues that can improve on the living condition. People simply want to survive. We are talking of survival. A day breaks. What is in the mind of Nigeria is how do you survive the day? And it's quite sad. It shouldn't be that.
All right, Simon, we have to go now. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Simon Reef Musa joining me on the Newspaper Review this morning to take a look at the headlines on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. Thank you very much, Simon. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Comments pouring in on the comment section of our YouTube channel. So many coming in. I can't read any right now, because we're out of time. We have to go into our first conversation. Well, stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should sit back and go.
Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigues.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Gender Agenda is where policy meets people. It's a bold policy literacy platform bridging the gap between decision makers and women across every sector. From parliament to politics, from leadership to governance, from peace to economy, development, human rights, from Nigeria to the rest of Africa, Gender Agenda amplifies voices too often excluded, ensuring every voice counts. Through compelling storytelling, social impact dialogue, thought-provoking documentaries, town halls that lean on data and research, we raise the bar. Gender Agenda, every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on AIT and on AIT's YouTube channel live. My name is Adora Sidney Jack, and this is Gender Agenda. Gender Agenda. Women rising.
In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Thank you for staying with us. You are watching Kakaaki, the African Voice, and we're done with the newspaper review, and it's time for the conversations this morning. We begin with to talk about the Breastfeeding Week, the World Breastfeeding Week for 2026. What does it mean for us? Let's talk about breastfeeding for a change this morning. And the official theme for this year's celebration is breastfeeding for a sustainable start in life, strengthen what works. We look at this issue this morning with a lady and a gentleman here, two people joining me in the studio. I have Joy Chinonso, who is a nursing mother, and of course she is also a nurse. She's joining me this morning alongside Dr. Chukunonso Epundu, a consultant pediatrician at the Zenith Kidney and Medical Center. Good morning, lady.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me. Now, let me start with you, Doctor. How significant is the week that's being celebrated, both domestically and internationally?
Well, thank you very much for that question. This is something that we look forward to every year. First week of August, precisely. Since the year 1992, the World Alliance for Breastfeeding associations have made the point of duty to have themes every year to enable us inform the public and galvanize support for breastfeeding mothers, create awareness for breastfeeding and all that concerns that globally. So national governments, associations, pediatric groups, nursing groups, various advocacy groups adapt that theme, just like you already rightly pointed out the theme for this year, adopt that theme and domesticate it for their respective nations, countries, and see how to use that theme to promote everything concerning breastfeeding during that week. So it's a very significant week for us, for both practitioners of pediatric and mother care, and as well as governments.
Okay, but this year's theme, what does it tell us? Breastfeeding for a sustainable start, strengthen what works.
Frankly, it's a very apt theme because it talks about the nature of breast milk and the act of breastfeeding as a very important concept that allows a child to have a good start to life. And not just a good start to life, but one that can be sustained without necessarily emburdening the family, the parents, the community as a whole. It is a gift of life that God gives us, basically, and makes it easy for a family to, no matter your economic situation, you can at least have something that a baby can start with, and then take it from there. Then we're also talking about understanding how the system has been supporting this and strengthening all that's making it work. So wherever we have challenges, identifying those challenges and eliminating those challenges, this is part of what this week enables us to do. So strengthening what works talks about all the support systems, the policies, the various actors and actresses involved in this, and how to ensure that the framework around breastfeeding is well supported.
All right. Joy, let me come to you. There's been so much emphasis over the years on exclusive breastfeeding. I heard a lot of that when I was raising my young children too. And I'm wondering, what benefits do both child and mother, let's talk about child and mother, because it's not just the children that are important, the mothers are important too. But what are the benefits of early breastfeeding and even exclusive breastfeeding to children and to the mothers?
Okay, thank you. I'll come from the part that during pregnancy, your body tends to just give the child what it has, whether you take or you do not take. But in breastfeeding, the mother intentionally has to give the child this breast milk. So exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months is an intentional act that the mother gives this nourishing food that she can produce from her body to the child. It gives the child and the mother so much of benefit. It protects, it gives proper nutrition, it helps the gut to be well activated, prevents some infection during childhood to a large extent, and research has really proven it a lot. For the mother, it helps bonding with the mother and the child so much that even when the child grows up later, you see this unity in the family. Also, there are also other benefits, like it helps for family planning, which I also use it, and then it also helps the mother with to prevent some breast cancer and otherwise.
Okay, let me stay with you.
All right.
When we talk about exclusive breastfeeding, I also hear emphasis on early breastfeeding, that within the first hour of birth, the baby should be put to the breast. Why is that?
Okay, that first 1 hour of birth is called, that first hour where breastfeeding is supposed to be initiated is really called the golden hour of breastfeeding. It's because after the woman has given birth, the placenta has been removed, there are some hormones that are released, and prolactin and all this. These hormones, once it's initiated and triggered within this 1 hour of birth, it goes a long way to sustain and initiate breastfeeding in the long run. So I was fortunate. I have 2 children now. My first child, I gave birth vaginally. My second child was through cesarean section. But while I was coming from the theater, I told them, please just hold on. If, as far as the baby's blood glucose was okay, I want to initiate breastfeeding, and I was able to do that. So it's really commendable. Breastfeeding I really recommend it to every mother who can actually go through it. It's something worth giving to your child as a nourishing act.
All right, Doctor, that first hour.
Yes. Yeah.
So, because I was reading this morning and I saw that there was emphasis on the first hour. Mm. And she's called it the golden hour of breastfeeding. Why is it that important?
Critical.
Because I hear about colostrum and all of that,
yes.
And a lot of babies may not even get that.
So, frankly speaking, that first hour is very important for us as the pediatricians, and as well as, of course, for the mother and the baby. It's very important because that's the period you activate this cascade of events that will make breastfeeding a success for both the mother and the baby. By cascade of events, I mean during pregnancy, the mother has been primed and prepared by the several hormones that her body has been producing in the course of pregnancy. Several of these hormones have made the breast already ready for the act of breastfeeding. So, but they need the suckling of that baby to stimulate that cascade of events to enable breastfeeding become a success. So that's why that breastfeeding early, starting early, allows the mother to initiate that cascade. When the baby suckles, several hormones are released by the. Now, it may not mean that milk may be coming out immediately. That's first suckling. But just that suckling effort has stimulated and triggered that cascade. So eventually, the milk that has already been prepared and stored, and some of it that's still going to be prepared, will now that process will not be activated. So you want breastfeeding to be initiated early because you want the mother's body to immediately start producing what the baby needs as early as possible. Delay in that process will not benefit the baby or the mother, either way. So it doesn't mean that the mother will still not breastfeed eventually, but that early initiation helps the mother to quickly enter into that process. Secondly, beyond just the breastfeeding aspect, the breast milk aspect, it also helps the mother's body to function optimally, because the suckling effort, one of the hormones it causes the body to release is what we call oxytocin, which helps to release, which was to cause contraction of the already stored milk in the mother's breast. And it also causes contraction of the uterus of the mother. The uterus is where the baby was incubated. That also helps to push out any remnants in the mother's womb, remnants of the delivery process, such as blood clots or anything at all that is still there. It helps to push them out of that mother's uterus so that they can be expelled. So in other words, it's both beneficial for the baby, in terms of the breast milk, beneficial for the mother in terms of the expulsion of those remnants inside the uterus. So it's very critical, beneficial to everybody.
I hear you loud and clear, but I'm looking at some information here. Data available says that 29% to 36% of women in Nigeria do exclusive breastfeeding. And for me, that's a very low figure. Because although at some point women breastfeed,
yes,
but exclusively, that figure is rather low. So if these benefits are there, why do we have such a low figure?
Frankly, it's what you're seeing is actually an improvement on what it used to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in the past years, we've had 21%. A couple 3 years ago, now you're just 29%. Globally, at some point, it was 37%, now it's 48%. So it's been gradually an improvement, but we're seeing a far cry from the WHO target of 60%. That's the benchmark we're looking at. Why is that a problem in the country today? Is a lot of factors are involved, myriads of factors, from the individual, from the factors relating to the person, that's the mother, to the health facilities where they deliver, in terms of how they emphasize on baby friendliness, to the other misinformation about breastfeeding that may be existing in the system around. All these are factors that tend to play out. And of course, when we talk about exclusive breastfeeding, we're now referring to that period of 6 months where the mother is going to be breastfeeding the baby on breast milk alone, without water, medications, unless otherwise prescribed, or any other food at all. So yes, we are talking about a period that the mother goes to initiate and sustain it for at least 6 months. That rate of 29% is referring to that period, actually. But if you're talking about initiating breastfeeding at all, yes, it may be higher. We have over 70% of them, 80% of them getting to initiate at all. But whether they can sustain it through that period for that duration of time now becomes a problem. Workplace factors, early commencement of work from maternal leave, duration of maternal paid leave. Mothers have to fend for their factors. The non-availability of lactation spaces in the workplaces where they are working. So mothers have difficulties sustaining breastfeeding when they start work. Aggressive marketing of breast milk substitutes by breast milk companies, and non-implementation, or call it otherwise, mild implementation of the breast milk of the code of breast milk substitute that tries to regulate all these things. So there are a lot of things that come in. Of course, we also have misinformation and myths and all that exist about the impact of breastfeeding on the breast integrity and structure, and some others that believe that infant formula may do better for the baby in terms of nutritional support. All these are factors that came to complain. So we have this coming in and affecting how mothers get to see breastfeeding, the benefits of breastfeeding, both for themselves and for the babies, and how they're able to sustain it along the line.
Okay, Joy, let me come to you. As he was speaking, I was thinking, what does a woman go through while breastfeeding? What are the factors that may predispose a mother to refrain or desist from breastfeeding a child? Because he's talked about early resumption from mat leave, and are there also cultural factors involved?
Okay, for cultural factors, none that I can think about now, but then we have what has been on ground. For me, during the period of Omugo, though my mom came to stay with me, especially for my first child, so she saw breastfeeding, it's an intentional act, as I said. There are some struggles, but you can...
Talk to me about those struggles.
The struggles, well, starting as a first-time mom, you have to struggle with how to latch the baby properly. And then if you don't get the latching well, you might have some nipple sores or cracks, and you have to deal with that and still breastfeed the baby. And then the baby...
That can be really painful.
It can be really painful, very painful. When you think about breastfeeding, you will want to desist from. That's most mothers cite that as the first instance of why they will cannot continue breastfeeding, especially exclusive breastfeeding. Then we have trying to navigate having a newborn baby, to care for a newborn baby, and also continue breastfeeding. Then your support system. Of course, my mom, I'm also a child. She wants me to be comfortable as much. So she will be like, why don't you just give an easier alternative so you can rest and the baby can rest and you don't have to go through this pain. But education keeps playing an important tool. I had to educate her that breastfeeding is very good, and exclusive is very, very good for this child. And if I can afford to give this child the best, I think I can go through it. And so that's helped me to scale through. And then I can look back and say that I really did a good job. And then even my husband also a good support system. He initially too he looked at how I have to wake up in the night to feed the baby, and then he was like, why don't you just, I said, just hold on and see, let's see. So now my first child is 3 years old. Anytime he goes for a discussion, he's like, he was exclusive breastfed, and I'm like, that's a good one. So education has played a good role to enlighten
it's a huge sacrifice on the part of the mother, but it's worth it. That's what you're saying.
It's very worth it. And then at work, my colleagues are also there to support me. If I need to take a break to go to express, they are there to cover for me. And when I come back, they even celebrate. They're like, how much did you pump today? And like, see, I said, wow, you're doing very good. And your baby is telling on your baby. So it's really a good one.
So you are a mother. And I think you're lucky to work in an environment where you have the support to breastfeed your child or express milk for your child in the workplace. But there are people who don't have that opportunity. What can be done in that kind of situation?
What can be done is we keep on educating people on the benefits of this exclusive breastfeeding. We keep on educating, keep on talking the talk. It will go a long way and showing people the result of it. That's why I celebrate breastfed babies, and then we continue to celebrate breastfed babies and breastfeeding mothers a lot, and showing them the result of what a breastfed baby can achieve.
Doctor, let me come back to you. Now, there are global accelerated efforts to reach at least 60%. You mentioned it earlier on, exclusive breastfeeding from nursing mothers. Is Nigeria part of this?
Yes, so there are some concerted efforts by Nigerian government, really, I would say. I know there is the work in progress. You have the infant young child feeding policy that tries to promote exclusive breastfeeding and state policies on complementary feeding, weaning, and all that, encouraging mothers to breastfeed for at least 2 years or more if they can for the child's life, and trying to measure on the first 1,000 days of the child's life. They also have the code of breast milk substitutes, and that the Nigerian government is also implementing, trying to ensure that we strictly regulate the marketing of breast milk substitutes, as infant formulas usually call them, to mothers or families, so that there's no direct, there aren't meant to be direct contact between marketers of these products or producers of these products and parents. So it's going to be recommended strictly at the instance of healthcare practitioner, based on what he or she thinks that the baby may need at that point. Then some other policies, such as the paid paternity leave, that's now effective. I think that's for the federal government. Some state governments have adjusted that policy further. So I think for it's about 2 weeks official paid paternity leave. It didn't used to be there, so but currently it's still in existence. Also, some governments extend a bit more. And the maternity leave, I think, is about 6 months now. It's still working. It's about 4 months now, but I think it's still work in progress. We try to get it up to 6 months to the actual duration the baby can benefit from exclusive breastfeeding. So yes, there have been some progress on part of Nigerian governments, which is why I think the exclusive breastfeeding rates are somewhat improved from the very abysmally low rates it was before to the 99%, which is still even abysmally low. We want it to be much better than that. So I would say yes, we are part of the conversation at the government level. Where we have problems right now is still in the area of private businesses and maybe enterprises that do not necessarily factor this into their business. So even government agencies, not all of them have safe lactation spaces for mothers when they start work, and to enable them continue breastfeeding their babies well. So advocacy continues to be the order of the day. Right now, yes, there are processes. The Nigerian government is part of that conversation, but whether we're where we want to be, not yet at all.
Well, are there frameworks to ensure the continuous implementation of these policies? Because if you have policies and you start implementing without sustaining them, they eventually collapse.
So yeah, so the discussions we've held so far at the various levels, whether at the level of the advocacy groups such as the Pediatric Association of Nigeria and the National Association of Nursing and Midwives, the discussions that we've held with the government at different fora suggested that there are frameworks on this. These frameworks are designed to enable the policies be implemented. Now, strictly adhering to these frameworks, either through the government's institutions or partnerships, is a different thing altogether. So I cannot tell you to what extent the enforcement and application of these policies have been, because frankly, I don't see where the punishments come to bear. But I know that to some extent, for the issue of the breast milk substitutes, for instance, they actually do follow them up strictly, and those companies are not allowed to. They actually try their best not to break the code. So even when they come talk to us, you see them being very particular about adhering to the code. So I think to some extent the government is working hard on that and trying to ensure that that is followed up. Yeah.
All right. I must thank you very much for coming on the show. Joy, thank you for coming. And Dr. Chukunonso, your names are similar, Joy Chinonso and Dr. Chukunonso, okay? All right, Dr. Chukunonso Epundu, consultant pediatrician, thank you for joining us. Joy Chinonso, you are a nurse and a nursing mother.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you so much.
we do hope that a lot more mothers emulate you as the children come. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. Moving away from this conversation, we'll come back to you on the hour with Kakaaki Social. Stay with us.
Ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Information, education, entertainment. More than just a cliche, it's a way of life. It's our way of life on Kakaaki, the African Voice, talking to the people that matter.
The political space in Nigeria is largely not ideologically defined. The political party is more like a vehicle that conveys you from one point to the other.
Technically speaking, what government is just refinancing. They are borrowing more money to pay the old ones, and it is not the way to go.
On the issues that matter.
The decentralization of the police force is, of course, will go a long way, because the state governors are answering chief security officers, but when they don't have direct control on the security agencies, I mean, it makes their jobs very, very difficult.
Keeping you up to speed on what you need to know, when you need to know, and how you need to know. That's Kakaaki, the African Voice, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Kakaaki, the African Voice. The more you look, the more you see.
Hello everyone, good morning to you. This is Kakaaki Social. I am Onoshorena Obozege, aka Asa Socials. On the space of social media, reactions are trailing President Bola Tinubu's approval for salary increase for personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces. This raise is between 30 to 80%. About 250,000 officers and personnel are expected to benefit from the new salary structure, which takes effect from September 1st, 2026. According to a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, officers above the rank of colonel, including brigadier generals, major generals, lieutenant generals, and generals, will receive a 30% salary increase. The statement adds that personnel from the rank of colonel down to warrant officer will get a 50% increase, while those from private to staff sergeant will enjoy an 80% increase. Now, the new payment package will raise the annual salary bill for armed forces personnel from 660 billion naira to 924 billion naira. Let's now see how this met you on the space of social media. In reaction to this user, Holly Yink, says, this is a commendable effort by our Presido. In fact, with this move, if Baba won't run Presido for third term, he's good to go. That's how this user react. This user, Miriam, says, the Senate, Judiciary, and now the Armed Forces, these are sensitive areas you have to massage. I hope this is extended to the police and all the paramilitary who are underpaid. Else, it's what it is. Peace says all these things na lie. Person when no implement 2024-2025 budget go sign. All right. From that, we'll go to this user, Patricia. She says, congratulations to the members of the armed forces, but I don't trust this new development, especially as elections is coming up in the next few months, whatever Patricia means. From that story, the Nigeria Police Force says it has invited Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 2 Lagos State, Moshood Jimo, for questioning over allegations made against him by social media personality Martins Vincent Ose, popularly known as Very Dark Man. Very Dark Man has also been invited to substantiate the allegations that he made publicly. I'll show you a video of that. First Public Relations Officer CSP Ani Iniedu says the criminal matter referenced by Very Dark Man has been investigated and is before a court of competent jurisdiction following legal advice from the Directorate of Public Prosecution. Now, the allegations, in case you've missed them, stem from Very Dark Man's public claims that AIG Moshood Jimo improperly handled the investigation into a Jiron double murder case, alleging corruption, bias, and abuse of office in connection with the prosecution of a businessman linked to the case. The allegations have been denied, and the matter is before the court. At this point, it's been a long conversation on the space of social media, and I will just show you one of Very Dark Man's many videos where he says he has every proof to show that he's correct about this.
So they say, Very Dark Man, you should be scared of the AIG. I cannot be scared of the AIG. I have the full fact of the case. Everything about the case is here. Everything. But you see, this is the most important part. It is this report that exposed Jimo Moshood. As you can see, this is a police investigation report from Panti. It is signed. You can see the police stamp, everything. This one is what exposed him completely. We are going to come to this, right? Let me show you the documents I have. This is the investigation of Jimo Moshood. This is the reason why Ahmed was arrested. It's this investigation and recommendation that made them arrest Ahmed. This nonsense that they did here. So let me tell you how well informed I am of this case. This is the suspect statement. This is 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 suspect statement. This one, self, carries the stamp. This is Ahmed Tajuddin international passport. These are stamps, his travel stamps. This is his visas. Bro, I am well informed on this case. Don't play with me, man. I have everything, every evidence, all right? This is the affidavit that Babajide Akinloye signed to collect the dead body of Prince Ademola Akinloye to stop the police from doing autopsy and investigating the matter. This is the bond he signed to collect the phone. This is the flight ticket of Ahmed Ajiron. This is other statements. This is the petition that was written against Ahmed by the palace. Bro, I have everything of this case, everything, right?
All right, let's see how you're reacting to this. I mean, that was a 23-minute, 44-seconds video. This user, Mudanish, would talk to us in 3 slides. The user says, finally, let's see what they do with accountability in the system. But let's not pop champagne yet. Investigation here have a funny way of disappearing when they get too close to the truth. Our ears are itching henceforth to hear what happens after the probe. Away from that, it says, justice delayed is justice denied. They shouldn't present us with a familiar script, please. We don't want that cancerous investigation is ongoing for months, then quietly buried. We need an actual deadline that ensures public hearings and real consequences. Anything less is just performative optics. Still talking to us is this user. It says if they can genuinely investigate this to, I think, a logical conclusion, it will set a massive precedent. But if it's just damage control to cool public outrage, we've seen this movie before. Whether they investigate is not the issue. Actually acting on the findings is the cocoa, AIG or not. No one should be above the law. And then final reaction to this one from someone else, Wicked Man, says, only in Nigeria that someone will be investigated by the organization he worked with, and he's still going to work. He needs to step aside until the investigation is completed, that he can resume. All right, this has always been a conversation while investigating you and you're still in office. Well, away from that, let's come to Abuja. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has expressed confidence that President Bola Tinubu will retain political dominance in Rivers State ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking during his August media chat in Abuja, Wike asked anyone who is looking to win in Rivers State to go cancel it, as Rivers is for no one else but President Bola Tinubu.
I'm talking as a political. What is going to happen in this 2027 election? And I've seen it, and I've said it in Rivers. I made you come out to say election have been rigged. Let these people not vote. I am telling you, let nobody make a mistake. If anybody is counting Rivers, go now and cancel it. The only person that can count Rivers is Aswaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm not talking because I'm talking as a political realist. I'm talking because my people know. You see, the point is what you should ask. Once you build confidence in people, once people trust you, people know that anything you tell them is likely to happen. And you don't go to government without carrying people along. Nobody can say to you as a minister of FCT, even as a minister of FCT, that Rivers people don't feel the impact. No.
All right, let's see how you react to this. Obiora Otu says, what an audacity and arrogance of power. For the records, Rivers State does not belong to one man, one party, or one political office holder. Rivers belongs to millions of Rivers people, and in a democracy, they only have the sovereign rights to decide who governs them through the ballot box. No individual can count a state before an election. The only votes that count are those freely cast by the people. Leadership is not ownership. This user, first of all, says, these are statements that motivate voter apathy, the audacity. As always, nothing wrong with democracy, but a lot wrong with politicians who have no regard to rules of engagement and the people without the balls to hold them accountable. Away from, first of all, this user, MC Ugumadu Esquire, says, why is it that Rotimi Amechi, that was once the Speaker of Speakers for 8 years, two-term governor, administered for 8 years, is beholden to his former chief of staff? Wike talks and acts like Amechi does not even exist politically. Even when Wike was in opposition, Amechi was still unable to withstand his Ikwere brother. A man that is to be the next vice president of Nigeria must at least control the politicians, the politics of his state. Amechi cannot ride on Atiku's back to Aso Rock. He must contribute his region, and that entails taming Wike politically. All right. Country Not Nation says, I hope the people of Rivers State are not as weak as their governor. They need to humble this man. I'm not sure how weak their governor is. Country Not Nation says that. Well, we're still with the media chat in Abuja, and this would be that the minister still says that concerns over security have limited his ability to freely visit recreational centers and other public places in Abuja. Speaking during this same August media chat, the FCT minister recalled an incident at a restaurant where he said he was swarmed by a crowd of people, forcing him to flee the scene for his safety. He said that day he didn't go out with security, just wanted to mingle. But he noted that the experience has made him reluctant to visit amusement parks and other leisure sports in the national capital.
I went to one of the restaurants to eat. I didn't go with security. But so I told my driver, "Your drivers, let me go and eat." I just entered the restaurant. Before I know it, over 50 people. I didn't know what to do again. This person will call, will shake you, will call, will shake you. Of course, it is not safe. Don't take that to be, people like you. So, I told the restaurant, look, I will come back. At that point, I was no longer at ease. Immediately I came out, I saw some miscreants waiting for me to give them money. So these are the kind of things you have to be very, very careful.
All right, let's see how you're reacting to this. Ola says Canada's prime minister and every ministers down to councillors join public trains with their citizens and no one bothers to disturb them. You guys created the situations you wanted for yourselves. You can't walk freely when you know you were not making life easy for the masses. Away from Ola, Bridget says, good leaders don't take off wiki. You appreciate the accolade and mingle with the people you lead as minister. Why are you uncomfortable if you are truly doing the correct thing? It's even the best time to talk and explain stuff they don't know instead of running away. The reverse would have been the case with leaders in developed and enlightened nations. Nigerian Papa Bear says, oh, hey, celebrity minister, you have to deal with it. The begging is as a result of economic reforms introduced by your principal. 130 million people in poverty is not a joke. All right, we'll go to Kano State right now for our final two stories. The first will be that reactions are trailing the decision of Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf to allocate land titles to more than 2,000 political appointees of his. The beneficiaries include senior special assistants, special reporters, personal assistants, and polling unit agents. The state government maintains that the allocation forms part of effort to improve access to land and address housing needs, insisting the exercise was carried out in line with the existing policies to reward loyalty.
It is about empowering our people through property ownership. It is about creating wealth for families. It is about giving young people, women, and vulnerable students a solid foundation upon which they can build a better future. It is also about rewarding loyalty, commitment, and hard work. Above all, it is about ensuring that those who have stood with this administration also benefit from the dividends of good governance. I therefore urge every beneficiary to regard this allocation as a lifetime opportunity.
All right. right, let's bring you in here. Gabriel says the governor's decision to gift away land to loyal allies should concern every true indigene of Kano State. Citizens must remain vigilant to ensure that the governor does not hand over all communal lands for political patronage. Silence could mean watching their heritage traded away for short-term political gain. More thought to this one. John says, has to be typo because what is a governor doing with 2008? Even if you are handicapped, come on. This user, Kalimbo, says, land is life-changing. Hopefully, the beneficiaries were selected based on merit and clear criteria. Final user would say, youth in process. What happens to a teacher with 30 years of experience when a 4 years experience aide gets land allocation? Well, people are hopeful that new government will have to reverse whenever that happens. All right, we're still in Kano State, and this is a project on the Kano-Zaria Expressway that is attracting attention. Now be aware that this is not because it widens the road or eases traffic, but because it installs staircases for pedestrians to climb over the highway's concrete divider. The executive chairman of Kura local government area, Rabiu Abubakar Suleiman, popularly known as Babina Karafi, has completed the construction of concrete steps on the median of the Kano-Zaria Expressway. According to the council, the project was prompted by complaint from you resident of Kano State who had told him that the concrete divider was too high to climb, making it difficult for pedestrians, anyone, particularly women and the elderly and other vulnerable road users, to cross the highway. So the local government chairman says the staircases are intended to make crossing more convenient, reduce the risk of injuries, and respond to the practical needs of residents who use the route daily. Now, here you go. These are the pictures of that commissioning right there. All right, let's now see how you're reacting. On Facebook, Ugbo Mori says the person that did this should be jailed for obstruction, road destruction, death trap, and squandering of government resources on useless project. From there, we'll go to Instagram. This user says, chairman should be arrested because this is dangerous. They need pedestrian bridge or chairman, not too dangerous steps. FEDEP says, I don't think there is anything that can surprise me in this country again. More thought from Instagram. This user, Tochuku Nonso, says, it's the budget I'm interested in, and Call Him Sean says $2 billion. Maybe, maybe not. Those will be your thoughts in reaction to all of the stories we've had today. All right, everyone, thanks a bunch for being a part of Kakaaki Social this morning. I'm Rena Obio on social media, as our socials, and we are AIT_online. I said would always say, continue to tag us to the stories that matter to you. I'll see you again tomorrow.
Excuse me, ma. This is your 100% in year.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair? Since your landlord just increased rent, I saved for this one separately on Money Point.
Ma, you say you save on Money Point?
Yes.
This Madam Money Point here, the array of your dryer there, his target savings Money Points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is fees savings Money Points I used to do it. The salary of this my staff is save as you transact, son.
Jennifer, Money Point save as you transact. Money Point fixed savings and Money Point target savings.
Why did I don't contribute to it? Why should they? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Hadaku to save. You see Money Points accounts there. You know, go open a savings account. Now Hadaku you choose. I beg everybody inside this my saloon. Oh, yeah, bring out your phone and download the Money Points app now. Even you. What are you waiting for?
Download the Money Point banking app now and start saving the bank you can trust.
Money Point, made for your progress.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Ray Power Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, day as Political Platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political Platform, now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation. Get ready for a
and clarity to issues and events in governance, democracy, and development. On People, Politics, and Power, we feature people who shape the events and define the issues.
A lot of the agencies are still struggling with implementation of freedom of information.
The government should come. We need Nigeria to work.
We examine the interplay and interaction of politics with power and their impact on policies and the people.
It's about getting the system to deliver the kind of electoral outcome that people will be happy with.
People, Politics, and Power with Imoni Amarere.
Will low-performing agencies be held to account? Or will the numbers fade after the headlines?
At 1 p.m. every Monday and Friday on AIT. In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
Let us tell ourselves the truth. Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever?
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Let's go now into our second conversation. And it's time to talk about Osun State elections coming up in 10 days' time, my dear state. So much violence going on there in the run-up to the election. And it's generating a lot of concern and fears as people look ahead at the 2026 governorship election in that state. So we'll talk about that now. We have joining us this morning virtually Abiodun Ojelabi, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Osun State Police Command. He's joining us virtually this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I don't know if I'm clear enough.
I can hear you clearly, yes. That's good. All right. Also joining us, we have Dr. Gbenga Adesunloro, who is a development consultant and a mobilizer for the Kuka Center. Dr. Adesunloro, can you hear me? Good morning.
Dr. Adesunloro, can you hear me? Yes, good morning to you, sir. Good morning, Junior.
Okay. Please, Dr. Adesunloro, please turn off the TV set in your room there so that you can hear me only through the virtual connection. And we can have a good conversation. All right. Let me start with you, Dr. Adesunloro. It's 10 days to the election. Osun, state will go to elect the governor for the next 4 years. Why is there so much political tension in the air in the state, despite all of the peace meetings, accords, and that have been signed and all of that?
Oh, thank you very much. You need to understand that if you look at the pedigree of Osun State, this is not new. At every election cycle in Osun State, it's always been a very tense situation. Either in 2014, let's even go down the lane. I mean, a very long time. One thing about Osun State is Osun State is a very conscious, political conscious state, right? And I'm sure you remember the people like Bola Ige, how these people, even in the whole Western region, in those 80s, how they were very vocal, and some of the issues that happened due to their high level of political awareness. So it is not today. And if you look at past elections, especially since we started the off-cycle election in 2014, it has always been a period of tension, as the election, gets closer. So for me, we were already expecting that, but this one is now, the scale is higher. You know why? Because the stake is also higher. The higher the stake, the higher the what? The level of consciousness and the level of activism along the political device. This one is like a 3-horse race, just like as against what we had in Ekiti, where we like, okay, 1 or 2 horse race. This one is like a 3-horse race. We have the current governor, Adeleke, trying to seeking the election. Don't forget, he had even contested before, he lost before now. Then he won in 2022. Now he's at the saddle. We also have the candidate of the APC, who is like an anointed candidate of the former governor and Mr. President, according to what we hear, Then the APC, don't forget that this election is a precursor to the 2027 election, right? This is the last election that will be testing with the, the 2026 electoral act. So the players, the political parties were also trying to, muzzle their strength to ensure that just like, APC won in the Ekiti State, APC will also wish to win in this election. So now we now have that fierce contest between APC and PDP. Now, and Accord Party. Now we now have the other third force, which is the former governor, Adegbeshola. We all know him. He has a very strong pedigree in the state. He was an 8-year governor. He was a former spokesperson for even the current Mr. President. So, and now at the moment is the current national secretary of the ADC. So he also want to pull the strength to ensure that, APC, ADC is also relevant in the state and, as against 2027. Don't forget that 2027 we have candidates of the PDP, we have of APC, and we also have candidates of ADC. Yeah. So as a national secretary, which is next to the chairman, he will also want to ensure that, as much as possible, I deliver my state. And all these 3 major contenders, they have, their own key followers, not just key followers, organic followers that have been, that do I even use the word die-hard followers who over the years have believed in them and will do anything. And if you look at the economy of Osun State, I call it what I call garage economy. Not that it's not to understate the state or to bring down the state, but not just even in Osun State, in most of the southwest states. Who are the people who decide who wins election? It is those who are managing our transport union, those who, and in Osun State, even in Osogbo there, I can count close to 30 motor park in Osogbo alone. 30 motor park, the vehicle motor park, the Okada motor park, tricycle motor park. I can count.
Dr. Adesunloro.
And all these guys are managed by, the chairman, vice chairman, leaders of this party.
Dr. Adesunloro, if you can hear me.
Benefited directly from this past leader.
Dr. Adesunloro.
So they are now showing this sense of loyalty in quote, activism in quote.
Dr. Adesunloro, can you hear me? Dr. Adesunloro, if you can hear me, I'd like us to unpack these issues one after the other. Let's not lump everything together. I'm going to go over now to Mr. Ojalabi, who is, I'm sure he's been listening to you with rapt attention. And I took note of a few things that Dr. Adesunloro said. And he talked about activism in Osun State, the political awareness of the people of the state. He's talked about a 3-horse race. And of course, it reminds me of the tension that the state has witnessed since late 2025. And there have been a number of casualties in that state. So, Mr. Jalabi, if you can hear me, let's talk about that. What is the source of the latest politically related violence that we are seeing in Osun State now, in spite of efforts by security agencies to curtail them? I'm told we no longer have the police PRO with us on the call. As soon as he gets back, we'll pick up the issues with him. But Dr. Adesoloro, let me also bring that question to you. What's the source of this latest politically related violence?
Yes, like I said, it is predicated on the high-handedness and the overzealousness of the political followers. And it's also predicated on the body language of some of these key leaders within the election. Now, if those who have stake, it's not just the governors, the governorship candidates, we also have senatorial candidates who some of them have defected. For instance, some of them were in PDP, have defected to APC, and they want to return, right? And they have their loyalists. And we also have some of them who have defected from APC to a Accord Party. So, and some of them will now have two candidates. For instance, now look at the Bowipe and Oyade Obokun Federal Constituency. We had Chief Oke, who was there for about 24 years. We also have another person coming out from Accord Party. So he has been there for 24 hours. He had organic followers. He wants to return. But on another platform, he was there as PDP for 24 hours and 24 years, and he wants to move to and is now in APC. So now, his loyalists who were once in PDP, some of them will have moved to Accord Party. Some have moved to APC. So you can imagine what will happen in that kind of local government. The loyalists are now divided. Now some are with the Accord Party. So these people are going to be having campaigns and activism, for their candidates, right? So therefore, they'll be conflicting. They'll be having meeting points, right? So these are the factors that have dovetailed into this high level of security, and insecurity in the environment. Also, I know that there are a number of these local government where we have high level of courtesan activities, and now what I do is that they're now using them. They are willing to, some of them already have weapons, stock, and things like that. And you now see them, being overzealous. Young people across some of these local government, Ilesha, Bowipe, Owiyade, Saoke, where you have some of these institutions, that have been known for high level of courtesan activities, now being deployed by some of these political stakeholders, to galvanize their support within the local government. And what do they do? What do they know how to do? Violence. What do they know how to do? Exercise power and influence over the people. You start hearing them shooting at random, shooting at night, shooting at daylight, and doing all these things. So for me, these are the factors, the desperation of some of these political players not to play by the rule. That's what is, for me, that's what is causing some of this violence that we are hearing.
All right, Dr. Adesoloro, the way you have put it, one wonders why these things persist in spite of all the peace accords and the peace meetings that have been held in the past.
Yeah. See, let me explain something. Don't forget that the peace accord is, what we do in peace accord is to do social mobilization, to engage with stakeholders, to see reasons why, and we use data. We have field officers across the 30 local governments who have been providing data, and we now provide our human interest. Show this data, number of injuries, number of deaths, number of attacks of the people that you say you want to go and vote. Then we engage these political gladiators to see how can they prevail on their loyalties to play by the rule, right? So, but for me, the peace accord do not really have a force of law. It's not, you understand? But the content of the peace accord are drafted from the content of the Constitution and the Electoral Act. So for us, what we are doing is to contribute our efforts. Civil society organizations contribute efforts to promoting peace and development in the state. But who has the primary duty to provide security and safety of life for the people? It is the government. It is the government, led by the federal government and the state government, right? And who is the architecture that is to maintain security in the state? It is the Nigerian police force. So for me, the reason why we feel this happening is that we feel that the number one, let me say this reason, and it did not happen today, it didn't happen in the election, and these are the reasons when government do some things and you feel that, oh, let's just do it, it doesn't care. Now you can see the effect. Nigeria, data has told us that Nigeria is grossly under police. Nigeria is one of the greatest, countries of the world that is evidently under police. Now you're not seeing it happening, paving way in the election now. Because the police are not God to be everywhere. These guys that are perpetrating violence, they did not start today. They've been planning this havoc for a long time, right? Are you getting my point? So
yes.
Now the police will fund. It's not an issue. Then number two, we now have poor, for me, I think there's poor intelligence. Poor intelligence network, because some of these guys that are acting and causing mail are in the communities. How is the security? How is security working with the traditional institutions and all these structures within the community to share intelligence? Now, people don't trust the police because they feel that, okay, if I provide intelligence that these people are gathered in this hotel, they are here. The next thing I hear is that somebody is coming to attack me. How did the people know? How did these perpetrators know that somebody told them, whistleblow them, that they are staying somewhere? So there is that level of mistrust between the citizens and the police force that, oh, I don't know how professional this guy Then one of the issues we're also facing is the issue of misinformation, fake news and disinformation. There's a lot of news in the media, both bloggers and all these things, peddling a number of issues, making citizens to distrust the police force, to distrust the security architecture, that they have been compromised. There are counter allegations that, oh, the police is sympathetic to the federal government because he pays property 32. There is also counter allegation that, oh, it's because the government wants to perpetrate violence and the police are maintaining professionalism. That is why it's crying foul. Do you understand? But all this is who are the people that are behind the board, the citizens. They are hearing it on a media. They are hearing it on the radio. They are hearing it in unconventional meetings, in the community meetings. They don't mind the police. They have been compromised. They are working for the government. So if a community member sees issues, see people gathering, sees some strange movement, how would that person be confident to inform the police? So what would that happen is that these people that perpetrated the violence and they move. And one thing about these guys that perpetrate violence is that they are not stable. They come to a community, have their targets, and they exercise their evil. They move immediately. So they are so highly volatile and highly mobile. But who is bankrolling them? Who is providing hotels that they stay? Who is giving them information about the person they are going to attack? It's somebody, a political player who is desperate for power. So for me, the root cause of all these issues is still this political player who are bent on making sure that the state does not enjoy peace.
Now,
so
Dr. Adesoloro,
okay, please.
I've listened to you carefully. Are you saying that all of the peace meetings that the Kuka Center and other organizations, other groups that have put together trying to ensure that peace reigns between the political actors in Osun State have failed?
No, capital no, sir. I will say, if not for those efforts, I can tell you we will not be where we are. Now, let me show you the data. The data says that between January and May, we've recorded 43 instances, about over 30 deaths. But if you look at between May and June and now, we have only recorded about, I think, just 2 deaths and maybe about 6-7 injuries, right? So before the peace accords started actively, we've been seeing that high-headedness, free attack, no restraint, right? But because of our effort in engaging the police, in making them see the data that no, you need to step up your game, in engaging the traditional institutions to see how much can you prevail on these people, right? Some of them even traditional leaders have no late courses. Come out publicly to hold community meetings to charge the parent that warn your children, whoever permanent violence in this place will be placed on course. So these are some of the feedback from our engagement with these traditional institutions. So and that has also, make some of the parents to talk with their children and say, please don't be used by political talk. Can you exercise restraint in some of these activities? So data has shown that even though we are not there to having that totally peaceful environment, things have actually normalized. And I can tell you for free that in the coming days, all those nonsense, all those activisms of all these garage boys and all these people for men will stop. You know why? The police has also, because of our engagement, showing them data. And a lot of forums where they've been invited, and people are, because there's this issue. One of the things that happens is that some of these agencies, they are They are not in tune with the citizens. They are just out there in their offices claiming they are doing their best, claiming they are working. But when we bring them to an interface and we bring the citizens face to face to them to confront them with this reality, youth leaders telling them that, say, sir, you're not doing enough. People are dying, young people are afraid, and women leaders are shouting and saying, no, we are not happy with the way things are in the state. And they are saying, we want the CP to come and talk to us. What is doing differently? What do they do? They sit tight. They review strategies, they take actions, and we're now seeing the actions behind results. And that's our goal, to see how much can we engage these actors, these people that are in charge, the security agencies, number one, to synergize. And that's why we're also engaging the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. We've had at least some, supporter meetings with them, where they also interface, look at how can they look at this reality and respond. So for us, we are happy, because our efforts are yielding results, and that's why we are seeing the decline in some of these activities. And I'm very sure that the citizens need to not have nothing to worry about. For us, we are paying because of the sanctity of life. One life is very important, and we're already seeing that. But can we prevent the further havoc? And that's what we are doing, and we are seeing results.
Okay, Dr. Adesonoro, thank you very much for that intervention there. Unfortunately, the network is really, really poor where the police PRO in Osun State is, and of course we can't really get through to him anymore. That, for me, that's the unfortunate. It's the second time we're trying to speak with him on these issues, and we're not able to get through to him. Initially, he was there. But let me stay with you, Dr. Adesonoro. Now there's a new police commissioner who's been brought in for the period of the elections. I don't know whether it's a permanent deployment, but Samuel Erale has been deployed to oversee the election in Osun State. And he took over from Ibrahim Gutan, made the controversies that he's partisan, the allegations of being partisan, and poor handling of election-related security. What's the true position? What do you know of this reshufflement?
Okay, thank you very much for this information and for this question. Now, let me say this. We need to, let me just provide this clarity. And it is not new. What they did is not new. And for me, if you look at the press release itself, it's still clearly saying, I don't know how I can put it, that it's not saying, presenting what you just said. They are not presenting that, the Commissioner of Police is not capable, right? They are not saying that. They are saying that it is statutory, it is conventional, that when elections are closed, they deploy a new CP for election, which was done in Ekiti State, which was also done in Anambra State. There's always a CP who like maybe a superior person to the Commissioner of Police, maybe an AIG. I've not even checked the profile, but the one that came to Ekiti State was an AIG. I don't know this, maybe this person, the profile, whether it's an AIG. So who specially, interface and manage elections. For Ekiti State election, what they did was that they even deployed 6 Commissioner of Police, 6, led by that other AIG. So we now have two Commissioner of Police manning 2 or 3 local government, as like a DPO, but just for election purpose. So for them, there is a way to respond to the situations around election. Because number one, they are going to be having high level of deployment. And as I'm counting, I learned that about 17,000, a total of 17,000 police, formation have been deployed to the state, and their training starts. I think it's today, Monday and Tuesday, right? So they are training them. INEC is, they are cascading their training for them, on election duty. So for us to have like that 17,000 police, so they also need to be managed. Because most of them, they don't understand the state. Those of them, a lot of high-handeds can happen. So they need different commissioner of police to mind them, to direct them, to coordinate their activities. That was why they brought in this person, which is conventional. So for me, it's not because it's not as a response to maybe corruption charges or not being able to handle the situation. That is according to them. But if you look at the citizens' position, people are crying foul that no, the community formations are not proactive enough. Violence happens before they respond, and people die, people are injured before they respond, and that is not acceptable.
I need you to hold on. I understand that we have Mr. Jalabi back now. We may not be able to see him, but at least we'll be able to hear him. Mr. Jalabi, thank you for reaching out to us again. Now, we've talked about a number of things that I would like you to respond to very, very quickly. There's still so much political tension in Osun State right now. Why is that happening? And what has the deployment of another commissioner of police, talking about Samuel Erale, to Osun State got to do with the security situation in the state ahead of the election? Mr. Jalabi, can you hear me? Mr. Jalabi, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, I cannot, I'm not sure he can hear me. I can hear sounds from his end, but I'm not sure he can hear me. So, Dr. Adesunloro, a final word from you. What is your prognosis? Are you optimistic that the election in 10 days will be violence-free?
Yes, for me, I am very optimistic. One of the things we are saying, and we'll be very glad to see, one of the things we are seeing, and we are going to be glad in the coming days, is that, and with security, provide us what I want to say, like the unit level risk mapping. What I can see that our hotspots, we have already shared that intelligence with the police, and the police are also doing their bit. They are already doing it. They also have that information. They know which level of state, which local governments are high risk, which one are low risk. They have that information, and they are already doing that themselves. So we want to be glad to see number one, let's have that published. You know, few days to the election, we have a few days to the election, which was done in Ekiti State for election. They published 469 polling units in Ekiti State where there are hotspots, and that guide the police to know how they deploy, where the tactical team close and things like that. You understand? The citizens are resolute. They will definitely come out. I'm very optimistic. They will come out on election day, and the security have given us assurance, and we are banking on the assurance that they will ensure that there is security of the people. But we are making this caution that the security needs to be political.
Okay.
Needs to maintain neutrality in making sure they discharge their duty, and not to support one candidate or one party against another. If there are vote buyings, whoever is there should be arrested, not selective arrest of people, you know.
Dr. Adesunloro, I must go now. Thank you very much for your intervention this morning. Dr. Adesunloro, Benga Adesunloro actually is his full name. He's a development consultant and a mobilizer at the Kuka Center. Thank you very much for talking to us about the Osun State election for coming up on August 15. Unfortunately, we couldn't really speak to the police PRO in Osun State because of the poor internet network. Unfortunately, it would have been nice to really get the perspective of the police. But that's that for that conversation. Stay with us. We'll go on to the next segment, which is entertainment and lifestyle.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment and Lifestyle on Kakaaki, the African Voice. I am Chidera Izudoi. Grammy-winning Nigerian superstar Burna Boy is set to make history once again as he returns to headline London's iconic 80,000 capacity London Stadium in 2027. The upcoming concert will mark Burna Boy's record third headline show at the venue, extending his reign as the only African artist to headline the stadium 3 times. The announcement follows his historic sold-out performances in 2023 and 2024, milestones that cemented his status as one of Africa's biggest global music exports. Fans have taken to social media to celebrate the achievement, describing it as another landmark moment for Afrobeats and African music on the global stage. With yet another record-breaking performance on the horizon, Burna Boy continues to prove that African music is not just crossing borders, it is dominating the world's biggest stages. Popular TikTok stars Pella and Jabez have officially tied the knot in a lavish celebrity-studded wedding that has set social media buzzing. The glamorous ceremony held in Lagos attracted a host of celebrities, influencers, and entertainment personalities, including Iyabo Ojo, Cubana Chief Priest, Priscilla Ojo, Juma Jukes, Daddy Freeze, Zinaliski, Pretty Mike, amongst others. Beyond the star power, it was a jaw-dropping gift that stole the spotlight.
On behalf of my children, I am presenting a brand new house for you, worth 400 million. Congratulations, brother.
With unforgettable moments, luxury displays and generous gifts, Pella and Jarvis's wedding has become one of Nigeria's biggest celebrity weddings of the year, dominating conversations across social media. Nollywood actor, politician Desmond Elliott appears to be making a full-circle return to his first love, filmmaking. Several weeks after losing his party's primary election for his constituency at the Lagos State House of Assembly, the ace actor was spotted on set of a new movie, which has sparked excitement among fans and colleagues. Now back on movie set, Elliott appears to shift his focus to Nollywood, where he built a successful career long before his politics interests. While it remains unclear if the move marks a permanent return to acting or directing, fans are celebrating seeing the screen star back where many believe he belongs.
Threat we can't control.
Spider-Man Brand New Day has swung into the record book with a historic domestic box office debut. The latest installment of the Spider-Man franchise, starring Tom Holland, grossed an estimated $360 million in North America during its opening weekend, setting a new all-time record for the biggest domestic debut and surpassing the previous benchmark set by Avengers Endgame in 2019.